when he was injured in a railway accident at Staplehurst in 1865. Dickens describes Dombey as a man of ice. By contrast, he uses water as an image of a flexible, shifting flow of emotion, epitomized in one of his happiest creations, the old sea salt Captain Cuttle. "Glorious Captain Cuttle," wrote Forster, laying his head to the wind and fighting through everything. He is a comic character, but presented as a fully rounded individual, and indeed Dickens integrates all his comic characters more successfully into the plot in this novel than he had heretofore. He surrounds the Dombeys with a set of thoroughly dysfunctional characters, disconnected now from their former place in society. Major Bagstock is used to being obeyed, but out of the army is out of step with the world. Miss Tox clings to the time when she had position, but is now a symbol of faded gentility. Likewise, Mrs. Skewton, once the toast of fashionable society, her beauty gone, presents a pathetic picture. They all have an important part to play in illustrating the book's theme of natural versus unnatural, whilst not failing to entertain the reader. With the novel finished, Dickens regained his usual high spirits, which were supported by the successful sales figures for the monthly parts which were eagerly snapped up as they appeared. With this novel, it can be said that Dickens came of age as a writer. "There's no writing against such power as this," Thackeray wrote of Dombey. "It is stupendous."
Florence and her father. Mr. Dombey rang the bell and walked till it was answered. "Tell them always to let Miss Florence be with Richards when she chooses, and go out with her and so forth. Tell them to let the children be together when Richards wishes it." The iron was now hot, and Richards, striking on it boldly, it was a good cause, and she was bold in it, though instinctively afraid of Mr. Dombey, requested that Miss Florence might be sent down then and there to make friends with her little brother. She feigned to be dandling the child as the servant retired on this errand, but she thought she saw that Mr. Dombey's colour changed, that the expression of his face quite altered, that he turned hurriedly as if to gainsay what he had said, or she had said, or both, and was only deterred by very shame. And she was right. The last time he had seen his slighted child, there had been that in the sad embrace between her and her dying mother which was at once a revelation and a reproach to him. Let him be absorbed as he would in the son on whom he built such high hopes, he could not forget that closing scene. He could not forget that he had had no part in it, that at the bottom of its clear depths of tenderness and truth lay those two figures clasped in each other's arms, while he stood on the bank above them, looking down, a mere spectator, not a sharer with them, quite shut out. Unable to exclude these things from his remembrance, or to keep his mind free from such imperfect shapes of the meaning with which they were fraught, as were able to make themselves visible to him through the mist of his pride, his previous feeling of indifference towards little Florence changed into an uneasiness of an extraordinary kind. He almost felt as if she watched and distrusted him, as if she held the clue to something secret in his breast, of the nature of which he was hardly informed himself, as if she had an innate knowledge of one jarring and discordant string within him, and her very breath could sound it. His feeling about the child had been negative from her birth. He had never conceived an aversion to her. It had not been worth his while, or in his humour. She had never been a positively disagreeable object to him, but now he was ill at ease about her. She troubled his peace. He would have preferred to put her idea aside altogether, if he had known how. Perhaps, who shall decide on such mysteries, he was afraid that he might come.